Hey, it's Shiv,
And Dave.
and we're back with the All of You podcast. This week, we want to talk about expectations in relationships.
Yeah. That's all I got on that. No, just kidding.
It's going to be a rather short episode this week.
They kill it.
Who killed what?
The expectations kill it.
Expectations kill relationships.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to start this episode disagreeing.
Oh, you don't disagree?
No, I'm saying I don't disagree. Expectations expectations do kill relationships. I would say actually unrealistic expectations kill relationships.
Yeah. I mean, there is a such thing as deal breakers. But yeah, we'll get into it. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. But I do want to advocate for, because I think we both, right out the gate, I'll blow the lead, but we both are not a big fan of expectations. Neither one of us try to have high expectations for each other. And but here's the thing, we did have them in the beginning, and we've come to this realization through, classes and courses and reading books and all this stuff that has allowed us to release them a bit. But I want to advocate for those who might still be in that space believing in having expectations is good, because I remember being there. And I remember really, if I was to listen to a podcast that said, release your expectations, I would go, you're crazy. Like you don't know, because the expectations, it's not as simple as that. When you have an expectation, it's not like, oh, I have high expectations for the people around me. It's tied to pain. And so it's anyone, if you have a partner that has high expectations or in a certain area, you can't just let go. It's like a baby letting go of the binky. Like you can't just like tell the baby like, oh, sorry, you're 2 years old now, we're going to take away your binky. They're going to cry and kick and scream, and they're not going to be happy about you taking away the binky. And so these expectations are hard to release. They're entanglements, really.
Yeah, and I think that they're hard to release because a lot of times expectations can be tied to core beliefs. So let's say you're throwing a birthday party for yourself next week and you invite all your friends and a few of them don't show up. And your expectation is if people love you, they're going to come to your birthday party. Then you are now disappointed that someone didn't come to your party. But is that expectation correct to have? So if it can come from this core belief of like, if they love me, if they support me, if they're true friends, they'll be at my birthday party. But that doesn't leave room for love, because love says, I don't control you. If you feel sick the day of my birthday party, if you are having depressive thoughts and you don't want to leave the house, if you have another friend's birthday party, if you made a previous commitment, whatever the reason is, it actually doesn't even matter. You have the freedom to do what you need to do. And that's releasing expectations.
But like, let me advocate for I'll play the expector in this episode.
Instead of the inspector,
it's
you're the
expector.
Expector?
Yeah.
Expector gadget.
Can I?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Cool. Because I really don't like expectations.
Trust me,
I
know
am
this
like
about
a big no expectations person. One of my best friends, our entire relationship is built on no expectations. So like he could literally not text me back for 2 weeks and we're going to be fine, because we've given that to each other. Like we both don't like expectations. So it's a mutual thing. But
that's really opposite.
yeah.
But
I'm going to give it a go.
Sure.
Maybe I'm not right for it, but I'm going to try.
All
This will
right.
be my acting job.
Are we
So,
role playing here? What's happening?
Yeah,
We're role playing.
Yeah, I'm Inspector Gadget.
Okay.
So you're not coming to my birthday, but I believe deep down that love is you pushing past your depressive thoughts and pain, or not prioritizing that and attending those you love events. So
what I'm hearing,
mhm,
friend who's having their birthday party, is
Inspector Gadget.
Yes, what I'm hearing, Inspector Gadget, is you want me to fully abandon myself and my needs in order to take care of your needs.
Yes.
And you think that's what love is?
Yes.
Well, that doesn't feel like love to me. That feels like control, Inspector. Expector.
But I've been taught that is love.
Explain to me why you think that's love.
Because I come from a childhood where, and this isn't necessarily true, but I'm just like playing the role.
Role playing.
Yeah. I come from a house where I grew up self-abandoning for those that I love.
So that's how your definition of love was formed.
Yeah. So I feel loved when those who, if it was easy to come to my birthday, I wouldn't feel like that's love for you. I want you to sacrifice for me. I want you to self-abandon in order to love me, because that's what feels like love.
Yeah, but to me, that feels like control.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love me, why do you want me to be in pain? If it's painful for me to leave the house because I'm having depressive thoughts and I can't put a face on to be at your birthday party.
But right now, in this moment, talking about this party you're not going to attend, I'm not loving you. I don't care about my love for you. I want love. I want to receive love. I don't want to give it. If I was to give it, I would let you take care of you. But I'm asking to receive something right now, and I'm expecting to receive that love. So if you don't attend my event, I'm receiving it as you don't love me. Because I have a core belief deep down that you are to sacrifice yourself and to love me. This highlights, if you can see it clearly, I'm not Inspector Gadget now. I'm Dave.
Oh, you're Dave.
Yeah.
Good
Dave's
to see
back. If you can see it clearly, you can see that these expectations aren't attempts to love someone well. They're attempts to receive love well. So receiving love isn't bad, but you can't demand it.
Yeah. Well, I was actually just thinking that, because I don't want to say you should never sacrifice when it comes to love. I do think love requires a lot of sacrifice, but for me, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like a sacrificial love if I'm doing it based on your expectations and you're going to be mad if I don't. Like, that feels like me being controlled. And I think sacrificial love is me not even saying, hey, I can't come because I've, been having depressive thoughts. It's me going, I love this person. I think I can pull myself together and I can make it to this party so that I can support them, and making that sacrifice. But I think love needs the freedom to be able to go, do I have the capacity to give sacrificial love right now? Or would that be too much self-abandonment and I don't have that to give?
Yeah.
And I think love is freedom to be able to, and autonomy to make that decision for ourselves, and have the other person on the other side not be codependent and go, however you are, whether you come or don't come, we're good.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yep.
And that is what healthy, mature love looks like.
Yes, but we are in and everyone's in different situations with their friends, their family, the people around them. And if you're in a group of people or a family or just your community is a community of high expectations, then you're not afforded that autonomy to look out for yourself. If I'm expected, say you have a lot of money and I don't, and you buy me an expensive birthday gift, and I'm expected to buy you an expensive birthday gift back, and that's not communicated, it's not talked about, it's just an expectation, I might be giving you the $100 in my savings account. That's for my I might be in debt. I might have no savings, and I'm going to put $100 gift on my credit card to meet your expectations. That is self-abandonment at its core. Let's say you have $50,000 in your bank account and I'm in $20,000 of debt, but we're best friends. And we're each gonna buy each other $100 birthday gift. Like, we're pretending that we're in the same financial place, and we're not. We're pretending we're mutually, desiring this birthday gift, and we're not. And so, like, that's not true connection. That's not true. True connection and true relationship is acceptance of where somebody's at, not expecting them to be where you're at. So if I'm expecting you to attend my event, buy my birthday gift, whatever, I'm not taking your situation and really who you are at the moment in account. And I'm not allowing you to show me your authentic self. I'm expecting you to not be your authentic self. Like, no, you're depressed and you can't attend an event. That's not okay with me. So then I'm subconsciously, like, this isn't spoken. This is just what happens. Interpreting the energy is, I'm no longer accepting you as a friend or a human because I'm saying your depression isn't okay and my birthday is more important than your depression, which is I think no one would actually say that. Like, no, I don't think anyone would deep down go, my birthday is more important than your depression.
Well, they wouldn't consciously say it out loud, but subconsciously, there are people that are so attached to this thought of, I need to have people at my birthday party for me to feel okay, that they don't care what your reason is. And I actually think where I'm trying to be at and constantly working towards is, I don't even need to know why you're not coming to my event. I don't even need to know what your financial status is. If you didn't bring me a gift, I don't care. It shouldn't actually, like, me having to think about, oh, what is their financial status? They should have spent this amount of money on me, not this amount of money, is actually none of my business.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know what your financial status is. I don't need to know why you did or didn't come to my event. Like, if I love you, we're good.
Because, but that is so rare. Like, that's a very high mature stance in a relationship.
But this is why I advocate for this stance, is every single time you have an expectation on someone of any sort and they don't meet it, guess whose peace is no longer there? Your peace.
Yeah.
So for me, if I want to maintain my peace, I don't expect things of people, and then I'm never disappointed, because everything anyone does for me is the cherry on top. I'm like my parents driving down for Olive's graduation. I have no expectation that they would do that. But the fact they did was like, wow, thank you. Like, that's a cherry on top. If I expected and was like, you better take the day off work and be here, that wouldn't feel like love for them. And it wouldn't feel like they were giving to me. It would feel like I was demanding and taking from them. And that actually hurts our relationship.
Yeah. This is why I'm against the love languages. I buy into the fact that some people receive love better through certain love languages. I am that also. And I give it easier in certain love languages. Usually in the areas that I receive it, I also give it well. But to expect you to be that in exactly and give it in those ways, like I can ask for it in those ways and you can try to give it and work on it and, all that. So there's an aspect to it that I agree with, but I think it leads to disappointment when you're expecting it all the time in those ways and you're not allowing the person to love you the way they show love, and you're not really grateful for the person you're with, or even in this is friendships too. I have a friend that's such a thoughtful gift giver, one of my best friends. Gifts is like the worst way to love me. Like I
can vouch. Your gift giving is interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes I do a good job.
Sometimes you really crush it, and sometimes it's a little weird.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like comedy, you can't have some good jokes without throwing out some wild ones sometimes. But
like,
you got to take the risk.
On our 1-year anniversary, you got me a clock to help me be on time.
Yeah, you were terrible at time, so I got you a clock for your room.
That one,
I thought that was a great gift.
It didn't land so well.
It wasn't the only gift.
Yeah, that's true. There was more.
Yeah, my buddy is a phenomenal gift giver, like odd gifts, but he gets he's just thoughtful in that way, and I've learned to really appreciate that. Like, he's mailed me some oddball gifts out of the blue, and I go, he took the time to order this and put in my address and send it to me because he thought that I would like this. Or sometimes it's just a joke, and I've learned to appreciate that. So part of me loving him is actually appreciating the way that he is naturally showing the love and not expecting it to receive. There's certain things that he can't do. Like if I was to ask him to love me in certain ways, he wouldn't be able to. It would be a stretch for him, and he would try, but it's better if I can just appreciate him for the ways that he loves, and our relationship's better. And I could ask for those ways and he would try, but I can't expect him to just be different tomorrow. He would work on it over years. But
yeah, that's an interesting thought, is expecting someone to love you through your love language is expecting them to love you in a way that doesn't feel natural to them, in which one could argue it feels more like love because it is sacrificial because they have to try harder. But then also, it's not really loving in return to expect someone to love you not in the ways they want to show love, and not to appreciate the ways that they love.
It ends up turning into manipulation too, because especially in a partnership, because if you're committed in your partnership, then when they don't love you well, what do you do? When they don't, in your mind, when they don't love you through the ways that you want to be loved, what do you do? Do you panic? Do you turn into a child? Do you throw a tantrum? Do you accept it and walk away and surrender it to God? If you throw a tantrum, which I did, when you didn't love me in ways that I wanted to be loved in the beginning, at first it was bliss, right? First 3 months, bliss. There's so much love flowing, you don't even recognize the areas you're not being loved well in. You're just whoa, this is foreign, and the endorphins are crazy. And then the reality sets in, and the relationship, and you start to really learn your partner and who you're dating. And when I've discovered ways that I didn't find were fitting to me, I did throw tantrums sometimes, and that was unattractive to you.
Well, yeah, because as a woman, when a man throws a tantrum, I'm all I see is a little child, and the last thing I want to do is be with a little child.
Yeah.
So it's literally the most unattractive thing you could possibly do.
Yeah, and I don't know if we'll leave this in, but I'm just going to say it. A guy if you are wanting love through physical touch or anything physical, and you throw tantrums by not getting it, you couldn't be pushing your woman further from you in that moment, because they are not attracted to children. They're attracted to men, and men handle their emotions and don't throw tantrums.
Yep. So the moment you tantrumed, I was like, ew.
Yeah.
I couldn't, no offense.
You called me out.
Yeah. I was like, I'm definitely not giving you what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And good on you. Like and I had a choice at that point. And we broke up for a month because I couldn't figure it out, and that was what needed to happen. And I could have walked away, and what happens with a lot of guys is they walk away and they blame it on the girl, and then they go and do it again. Girls just get crazy after 3 months or 6 months or whatever. Like, it's funner in the beginning, and you're in this perpetual beginning stages of love, and it becomes an addiction, and you're not ever dealing with your bullshit. You're not ever looking in the mirror and fixing it. So, I mean, at this point, I had been through a divorce, I'd been through multiple relationships, and I had heard the things you had said, not just by you. Like, when you hear it from multiple people you date, it's probably time to look in the mirror, and it's probably time to ask for help. So I called my good buddy who's dealt with some of the similar things or just his own issues, and he had gotten help, and I got help. And I went and I got help sorting through the pain that was tied to those expectations. And that ended up being the biggest gift you could have ever brought into me. You not catering to me, you not just giving me what I wanted, was the biggest gift for me, because you were calling me to be a greater man. You were calling me to heal. In answering that call, I've found so much strength in myself, and so much, I'm a better father, a better partner, a better human in general. And so thank you.
Welcome. When I think, speaking to anyone who was kind of more on my side when that went down, it was really hard to not just appeasing you and giving what you wanted. And I actually had to choose myself. And then you went off and you did your work, which is how we were able to get back together. But had I not chosen myself, you wouldn't have healed. We would have remained in a toxic relationship. And
I would not be sitting here right now.
No, we wouldn't be sitting. No. And I think that the way to not self-abandon is to get really, really secure in knowing your worth and doing that work to believe that you are intrinsically valuable just as you are, without needing anyone else. And a lot of that work for me was like affirmation work and journaling and getting comfortable with being alone.
Yeah.
And being okay being alone and not needing someone else to make me. But it's really hard when you're in it.
Well, you really have to strengthen your discernment muscle, because we talk a lot about how we need to rely on each other in this podcast, and we talk about relying on others and getting help and asking for help. And so in those moments when you are basically saying, it's not time to trust my brain, it's time to get help, it's time to trust somebody else that's mirroring me, something's wrong. And that takes discernment. But then on the reverse side, you were in a place where you needed to trust yourself and your gut and trust your self-worth and not listen to me, because I would have pulled you down. And so that discernment muscle is huge. Like, are you in a place where you need to trust yourself and what's right? Or are you in a place where you're the wrong one and you need to trust others that they're mirroring you? And the way that you can filter this is through the fruit of the situation. Like, are you the one that's needy, or are you the one overly giving?
But that actually takes a level of awareness and honesty that is not commonly found.
Yeah. You got to learn what love is. Love is forgiveness. Love bears all things. Like you have to find love at the bottom, because love is not expectations. That is the biggest lie that we ever bought into, is that if they love me, they would blank.
It's, I love them, so I let them go.
Yeah.
That is love.
Yeah. Love isn't receiving, love is giving.
Yep.
And that's a hard thing. When you learn how to give love, you do get it back.
100%.
When you give love, you attract.
Yeah. And I think it can honestly just be felt in the energy of a relationship. And I know that sounds really funny, but like one of my childhood best friends has no expectations of me. But if I call her text, the response back is this like utter excitement that we're texting or calling.
Oh, when you called her, you told her we were engaged, she flipped out like on the phone. Like,
and I
it
think
was
that
so
like,
beautiful.
I hadn't even talked to her in probably 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
One time.
Yeah.
And her reaction was just losing her mind excited.
She was in her car, like not at a place where she necessarily was prepared for that phone call, and just was, and we had no expectation. She could have not answered the phone, but she answered and was like ecstatic. And yeah, it's so
and then
cool.
There was like and you actually had never met her in person yet.
Mm-mm.
And she was like, when the time comes, can't wait to meet you.
Yeah,
there was no expectation of when. And we eventually did meet and had dinner with her and her partner. And when we left, it was like, this was so fun. I love you. No expectation of when it's going to happen again. But like for what that was this night and getting to know each other, that was amazing. And I know if I hit her up next week and was like, do you want to grab dinner again? If she said yes, I'd be excited. If she said, I'm so busy with the kids right now, like there's a lot on my plate, I wouldn't take it personally. I go, yeah, she's busy right now.
Yeah.
She's a mom of 2. She's got a lot going on. No expectations. And so this ability to love freely, like when we get it, it's the best thing in the world. But when we don't have it, there's no love lost.
Yeah.
That feels like love. And you can feel that vibrational energy that is just different than a love that comes with an expectation. It feels different in your body.
Yeah.
And it feels good to give love out of a place of, I want to freely give this, and not out of a place of, if I don't give this, they're going to be mad at me. It doesn't feel good to give from that place.
No, because it's not love. It's control, and it feels like imprisonment. Love doesn't feel like imprisonment. If you concern yourself with, do they love me because they're not doing certain things that I expect them to do, you're concerning yourself with being loved. You're not concerning yourself with loving well. And if you find yourself thinking more and more about who's loving you and less about who you're trying to love, I would really encourage you to try to flip that and stop trying to think about, is this person loving you well, or are you giving it? How can you give it? And maybe the best thing to do to give it well is to not be in the relationship for a time. That's okay. If you're totally just, you guys are like two magnets that are flipped to repel each other, it's better not to be in sync at the moment in this life, right? And letting them go is sometimes the most loving thing to do. But the call, if we are in reality, is to love with a loose grip and an open hand, because the truth is you can't ever hold them tight anyway.
I do also want to add, because I think it's important to note, I could see someone listening and being like, so we just let people do whatever they want and accept that as love. That's not what we're saying. It's okay to have standards. Like, I do have standards in our relationship. You will treat me with respect, kindness. I don't just let you walk all over me and go, I have no expectations. That's not actually what we're saying. It's okay to set standards for how people treat you, but your standards need to be based off of what is realistic to expect. Like, if my standard was you will make me breakfast every morning, well, that's a realistic expectation. That's not a standard. You're not capable of holding up to that. So I'm actually setting you up for failure. Like, that's not a standard because it's
Well, it's also something I don't agree on. We should clarify too, like expectations in a relationship are the problem is really when they're unspoken.
mhm.
I have an expectation that we will always live together. If at one point you go, okay, I love you, but I don't want to actually live together for this next chapter, I would kind of be like, okay, what does that mean? So I have this expectation that we'll live together, but it's agreed upon. And it's actually, I would even go further to say, I actually can't control you. And so the way that this expectation works is if you came to me tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now and said, Dave, I want to move out, I can't actually be like angry at you. If that's your heart,
Well, you can be hurt
I can
because
be
that's
hurt.
hurtful.
Yeah, but I can't have this other underlying expectation that you're not a free and autonomous human to make decisions. If you wanted to leave me, if you wanted to cheat on me, you could do that. I can't control, like the illusion that I could control that anyway is wrong. And I know it's the easiest thing to understand, but it's the hardest thing to actually do is to go like, my partner is not me. They are somebody that I connect with, that I love to be around, but they're not a part of me. So, and I know like the Christian culture is like the two become one, but I just don't believe that that's totally healthy to actually envision that completely. I believe that there's a connection and a commitment and all that, but to have the illusion that you couldn't do whatever you want to do is just not reality. Like I don't have tabs on you. I can't control it. And me trying to actually further pushes you into it because I just have to be okay. I have to realize I have to handle reality. And the reality is that anyone in my life can do anything they want to do. And if I'm playing by any other rules than that, I'm kind of out of reality and I'm in an illusion that I can control it and I just can't.
Right. Well, it's almost like that image of like a kid with like a little bird in their hand. They love it so much and they're trying to control it that they actually squeeze the bird and kill it.
Yeah.
It's like when you try too hard to control someone with expectations or control in general, having expectations on someone is a form of control. And when you do that, you kill the bird. Or like the more controlling like a parent is to their kids, where you're like, you better tell me what you're doing every minute of the day and I'm going to be all up in your business like a helicopter. What does that kid do? It starts hiding because we reject control because it doesn't feel like love.
Yeah.
It's not your parent going, hey, I trust you. I'm going to let you go out in the world and I got you. If anything happens, call me. But like, I trust I raised you to make good decisions. I'm not going to be all up in your business. And like, there's obviously some nuance to that. But in general, the more we try to control something, the more people want to reject it because it doesn't feel like love. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like there's trust. It doesn't feel like there's autonomy. When you try to control someone, it doesn't feel like there's space to be you.
Yeah. You've said it before on this podcast. You can't have control and peace of mind at the same time. I'll add to that and say, I don't think you can have control and love at the same time.
No.
And so, because love is just not control. Love is okay. However it is, I am like this.
And it's actually so freeing that you would let me go and say, you go do whatever you want. I have no control over you. If you go and cheat on me, I will be okay, but there will be consequences.
Yeah.
I may choose to leave you, but I don't have control over what you do.
Yeah.
And so you're free to make your decisions, but I will respond to them.
Yeah. And for a moment, like I want to sit in this understanding and just grace, because this isn't a light switch. And anyone who struggles with control, or anyone that struggles with expectations and high expectations of others, is absolutely going to be repelled by this episode. And it will be triggering even. And I want to, if you've made it this far through your anger and you're sitting like in your car listening and you're just angry at us.
You haven't turned us off
yet.
Yeah.
I want to say that like I see you, and that there is pain that you probably have behind those expectations.
Well, the height of your expectations is equivalent to the depth of your wounds.
Oh.
So if you are someone who is...
But that's not going to help them. They don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear that, but the truth is painful.
Yeah.
And those that are trying to heal, I think would be more open to hearing that, because that's a painful reality.
But what about those that aren't? Like, what about those that like just, I don't know, my heart is like stuck on this. What about those that struggle to see it, and they're hurting the ones they love with expectations? They have these traditions and these expectations that are just like, it has to be this way. And they might be hurting those they love because they're not open to change. They're not open to what the other person in the relationship wants and desires. And they're so concerned about their needs getting met, they don't care to meet the other person's needs. How do we have compassion on those people? How do we love them with so much compassion that we actually allow them to see that they can create safety within themselves and they can be okay no matter what?
I just don't think you can do someone else's work for them. I believe in being compassionate. I believe in communicating lovingly. Hey, you're hurting me. I believe in putting boundaries if their expectations don't stop. But ultimately, it goes back to control, and I have no control over them. I have compassion for them. I have grace for them. I am hoping they heal, but I have no control over anyone else. So there is nothing you can do except lead by example.
Yeah, and
be
and
loving
put the boundaries.
and be loving in the way you set the boundaries,
Mhm.
and try to not do it in like a you're so this, that, and the other, and lovingly set the boundaries and say, hey, I'm doing this to keep me safe.
Yeah, but if they're in a place like even I was when we first started dating, where it's like, I don't understand. If you love me, you would want to be this person for me. And you've had these too. Like, I'm kind of throwing myself under the bus, but you've had to release your fair share of expectations as well.
Totally.
And I guess the difference, what flipped our script for our relationship was when we both looked at each other and said, I don't want to have expectations of you that are unreasonable. So if we're in an argument because I have some expectation of you that isn't reasonable, that isn't a standard that we've agreed on already, there's an unspoken expectation, I want you to highlight that out to me. And then it hurts, but I go, man, where did that come from, that I created this like law in my head that's in stone? I convinced myself that if you don't do this, if you don't put away the scissors, I don't feel loved.
Well, I did that just the other week with the mail.
Yeah.
When I asked you to take it to the post office 2 days in a row and you didn't, I was like so mad, and I was like, he doesn't love me. I can't rely on him. And I had this expectation you were going to take mail to the mail office. But the reality is, and I say this with love, you don't do details well. Like,
Yeah, little things
you forget
I
little
weed out.
you forget little things at an unbelievable rate.
Yeah.
Your big picture thinking is fantastic, but the little details, not your strength. So for me, with love, I'm just
I
being
know.
honest.
I'm working on it.
But for me to have the expectation that you're going to be good at the little details when you have a zero track record at being good at the little details. So me having an expectation that you're going to actually do it is where we're out of alignment. How can I expect you to do something that you've never shown me you're capable of doing? I'm setting myself up for failure.
And the new thing is like, but if I said I would do it, then it's fair that you have the expectation. So I need to say no to the little things. I can't always say yes and then not do it. Like I need to say, I know that's really small, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm going to forget that if you depend on me anyway. I'm working on it. But so anyway, I guess the point was like, if we have people in our lives that have expectations, or we're the ones with the really high expectations, it is tied to a wound, and you can't heal it for someone else. So you have to be willing to let go of the relationship. And I know that sounds crazy, but at least as you know it, like as you know the relationship to be, and us desiring to hold on to the relationship at a certain capacity isn't healthy anyway. Like in a relationship that's going to last 30, 40, 50 years, especially as a friendship, a partnership, you're kind of committing to doing life together. Maybe, I don't know, some people don't. I think Jay Shetty and his wife lived in 2 different countries. Like I think his wife lived in Europe for a while. Like people have different expectations of even a partnership. So you have to create the standards and agree upon the expectations in your relationship. A friendship where you meet at 12 years old or in high school, I would never commit to a friend, or on the reverse side, hold my friend to some commitment we made at 15 years old. We're blood brothers. No woman's going to come between us. And then we start getting in our 20s that he gets married and has kids. And I'm like, you told me that I was
blood brothers.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Like I get the desire for that, and the heart is not wrong, but I would venture to say that there's no such thing as a lifelong commitment to friendships.
Well, and that's an expectation that neither of you are going to change. And anytime you expect change to not happen, you're setting yourself up for failure, because change is the only inevitable thing in life. We're going to change. Our circumstances are going to change. Nothing is permanent. We're not even permanent.
It's almost like we're trying to control someone else for our own safety. Even in our relationship, you're committing to me for life, and so you have to abide by these certain things. Like if you change, do I actually really want you to not express that and just hide that and closet it from me? Like then the relationship is inauthentic anyway. So if you all of a sudden decide that like you want to move to another country, whether I go or not, do I really want you to not go? Or is it better if I just go like, well, crap, what are we going to do? Like that's really hurtful, and speak my feelings to you. But do I really not want you to express your deepest desires to me? Like then I just don't think we should live in this constructed way where we build these commitments to not changing if we are humans that change. And I know that's crazy, and I know that people are not going to think like, you make your own decision on what you think is fair, but I believe that loosening the grip of others is love.
I would agree. Loosening the grip of others is love. And I think the one thing we haven't really touched on when it comes to expectations is there is kind of like a power and control dynamic that can be in place of like when someone expects something of you and they want you to do it so badly that they're trying to control the outcome, and they'll do it through things like guilt trips. Like, if you don't come to my birthday party, then you don't really love me. You're not a good sister. And that guilt that comes in when someone's expectations are so high, then that they need it. And that expectation is coming from that need in that wound inside of them. So they've got a wound that's creating these really high expectations. And when we don't meet their expectations, they're in so much pain that they try to control. And that control can come out in manipulation, like guilt trips. If you really loved me, you would come. If you were a good brother, you would do this. Then we have a dynamic where there's manipulation. And when there's manipulation, there's no love.
Yeah.
Because you're controlling me, you're manipulating me. I have no autonomy to be myself. Show me where there's any love in that dynamic. It just can't, there's no room for love.
Yeah. And I guess I'm just at a point in my life where I no longer want to receive fake love.
Ooh.
I just don't. I don't have a use for it. It hasn't ever fulfilled me anyway. It's like, I don't want you to give me a single thing that doesn't come from your loving heart towards me. Like, don't do one thing for me out of obligation. Like, why would I actually want that anyway? And it's not real. It's fake, it's fraudulent, it's inauthentic, and it doesn't do good for you, and it doesn't end up doing good for me anyway. It just ends up being resentful. There are commitments we make to one another, and I believe in honoring our commitments because we want to be a person that honors our commitments. So like, if I commit to somebody that I will be at the birthday party and set up and clean up and help with them, I want to go because I want to be a person of that character. And so, yes, honoring commitments is good. But if I didn't commit to going and somebody just has this expectation, or I committed to going, but they expected me to show up early and stay late, and I only went for an hour, like, whatever, like that's just fake love anyway. If I would do it out of obligation, it's not real. I don't want one person in my life to feel obligated to serve me because that's not a person I want to be. I don't want to be a person that is so concerned about receiving love anymore. I want to be a person that loves well. And I think making that decision and going, I want to be a person that outpours love and isn't keeping tabs on it, I don't know how it's coming back to me. I'm just trusting God that it will. And if I really trust in love, and I really believe that God is love, and I really believe that, and I know that not everyone's Christian or whatever. Like, this is not about religion. This is about a higher purpose and a higher calling in your life to just be loving. And if anyone denies that love is a real thing, I'm sorry, you probably need to look and find it, because it is real. It is beautiful. And if you can find true love does not concern itself with receiving. Love only concerns itself with giving. And out of giving, you end up receiving all of it back tenfold of what you ever thought it would be.
It feels so much better to give than to receive.
Yeah, and then you just do receive. You just do end up getting. When you love your people in your life really well, you can see the people that love you back too and spend more time with true love. Your relationships get enriched.
Yeah, and I think, and I might lose some people on this one, but when you love well and when you love out of a place of, I just want to give without expectation, you vibrate at a higher frequency. And when you vibrate at a higher frequency, you attract that same frequency back. So that the people that are surrounding yourself with you become people at that same frequency. So your vibe attracts your tribe is kind of how people say it. And I believe that that people want to be with people who are similar to them. And in the same way we attract people who have good vibes, we repel people who have bad vibes, and people who are expecting, they'll suck the life out of you. That's a bad vibe. I don't want no bad vibes. I know it's very cliche to explain it like that, but it's a very simple breakdown when you can of what you feel in those dynamics.
Well, yeah, and like I said, like I want to have grace and compassion on those people that are struggling because they are in need, and that means they're hurt. There is forgiveness and compassion, and there's redemption, and so it's not like you're a bad person and you don't deserve love. Like you do. It's just they're an empty vessel, like a bucket with a hole in it, and it's never going to fill them because they haven't, because you have to find it yourself. No amount of love from anyone else can do it for you.
Yeah.
But true love does heal, and I believe that your loving me was putting boundaries up with me and basically going like, I love you and I believe you can change. And if you show me you can change, then I would love to be here, but I can't tolerate the behavior anymore. This is not something I accept. And I had some work to do.
Well, and I really want to highlight when you just said, I can't tolerate the behavior anymore, because I was never saying you're bad. I'm saying the behavior is. And that behavior is coming from a wound inside you that just needs some love and some work, but it doesn't make you bad. It's just a behavior that needs work. And if you can fix the behavior, you can love those around you better. And then you're going to receive more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to say this quote from Young Pueblo just because I believe in it so much. Let go of expectations, for they are the root of much suffering. Embrace instead the beauty of the present moment. When we release expectations, we open ourselves to the beauty of what is, rather than the disappointment of what we wish for.
The beauty of what is. I love that.
Yeah, when we're expecting something different than reality, we're not accepting reality. And not accepting reality is the cause of our pain.
That's where mental tension comes from.
Yeah. And so analyze your expectations. Why are you actually believing? Why do you believe you're not okay if the other person does XYZ? In order for you to be free, you need to know that I love you and I choose you every day and I want to be with you. But if something happens to you, you need to know that I got me. Like I'm going to take care of the girls still and have a life that and do what I'm called to do, live my purpose and use the pain. Like you won't be a loss. You won't be a dark thing in my life. You will be a beauty and a light, and honoring you the best I can is actually using that whatever pain came out of it to express beauty and use it, alchemize the pain. So when we have these high expectations of someone else, we're basically saying if they don't do what I want them to do, I'm not okay. And I also can't accept their love and how they want to give it. So is what you're expecting a standard because you need the relationship to be like mutual, or is it an expectation? Are you allowing the relationship to kind of ebb and flow through life and the challenges of life and allow space when space is needed? I'm going to read one more. Expectations are the walls we build around our hearts. Tear them down and let love flow freely. I know it's hard to let go and it feels like you're not going to be okay because you're not going to get what you want. But maybe something more beautiful is on the other side. And maybe what you want isn't actually what you need.
So make space to figure it out.
Let go and flow with the current. It's much easier, much more beautiful. Love ya.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.